What is going on, everybody? This is your boy XQ420. Welcome back. Another episode, Showtime with the Cube. I've got my co-host with me, of course, as always, the infamous Corey Hughes. How you doing, Corey?
That's the powerful Corey Hughes.
Oh yeah, that's what. Yeah. We just he has to turn his mic back because he has so much power exhuming from his voice, powerful voice. So that's what we need to refer to him as, the powerful Corey Hughes. So you doing all right today, Corey?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Just rolled out of bed literally 10 minutes ago. The crust is still in my eyes. So,
hey, roll right out of bed and get shit done, right? All right. If it's your first time to this channel, don't hesitate, hit the subscribe button. Make sure you're following us on podcast platforms as well. We appreciate all the support. So, Corey, today we are going to be jumping into The Rings of Power, Episode 7, titled The Eye. All right. Now, this particular episode brings us right back pretty much to where we were at the end of Episode 6, the beginning of the end for the Southlands. How'd you feel about the beginning of this? It did show some people dead. It kind of left some mystery because you didn't know who all had been taken out during the cataclysm. That's what they're calling it. I'm surprised Galadriel didn't die because it looked like she took the brunt force straight to the face. She is, in fact, Galadriel the Powerful, okay?
Right.
So what do you think about this opening scene?
So you've got elves that are immortal that can be killed with a little dagger, but they can't be killed by molten lava just spewing in their face. The fact that she woke up and just knocked the dust off of her face and walked around like without a mark on her was like, damn, them elves are crafty.
Yeah, so, I mean, she didn't limp or nothing. Didn't even have a limp. I mean, I was like, nothing. I mean, it looked like you were at the front of that blast. You walked towards the blast. All right, now we're looking around. You know, there's all kind of people KO'd out there. And the thing that was harkening through my mind this whole time was what they always say gets you is not so much the flames, but the ash. You choke to death. I didn't see anybody have any hard time breathing out there. All right, now I know this is probably just, overlooking it right, and we are in Middle Earth. We got to suspend belief in what that is. But I'm like, dog, folks should be coughing up a little bit. That's all I'm saying. I ain't seen nobody coughing up. I mean, did you see anybody?
No, not at all. I don't know if that was because they were trying to tone down the death in the story, or
it might have been the case.
Or what the deal was. What I'm confused about is, so now the Southlands Mordor. And so...
Yeah, straight up.
And we know that these events are 3,000 years before the events of Lord of the Rings. So you're going to tell me that the volcano went off and blocked the sky and made it all orange nasty for 3,000 years? I don't know that I buy that.
Yeah. But at 3,000, it might actually be 5,000. It's between 3,000 and 5,000. But yeah, that's what they're saying. I feel like it might have been a little quick to already have Mordor. Maybe we got 4 more seasons. I mean, I don't know because as we go throughout this episode, it's like Halbrand's, I'm not going to leave the Southlands behind. I'm like, they're left now. I mean, it's Mordor. We know it's Mordor all these years later. So it's just kind of like, it's kind of like it.
So
I guess it didn't leave much suspense. It didn't leave much suspense. Right. Let's just say that.
So my question is, the Southlands are destroyed because of the volcano. Now Mordor. But what about Numenor? Is Numenor okay? Is Numenor not part of the Southlands? This I don't know. I thought Numenor was like its own separate island.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, so currently Numenor is still standing. Now I have a feeling that we may see Numenor's downfall. I just tried to do a little bit of research into these things so I could know what I would be expecting, even though they have changed some things in it. Numenor does eventually have its downfall. So I'm expecting in later seasons, this is supposed to be 5 seasons, that they will have some type of battle or some type of change in rule that will swing Numenor to the quote unquote dark side with Sauron. But currently it's still standing. It's actually away from everything else. So I guess it's technically still part of Middle Earth. So a lot of times with the Tolkien stuff is, I don't know, it's kind of hard to keep up with everything. I ain't gonna lie to you, because it's
I agree.
Like the world's so vast, it's kind of hard to keep up with everything. But yeah. So I was actually, for me, I was pretty surprised that we went Southlands Mordor. It just was. I was like, that's mighty quick. That's just how I feel. How did you feel about that, Corey?
Well, I kind of didn't expect anything less from them. I kind of expected flip of a switch to Mordor, kind of, the idea of them dragging out the transformation would be too cool. So, of course, they wouldn't do it. But I thought Mordor was more than just land that had been scorched by a volcano. I thought that it was somehow magically evil, right? So you have all kinds of things going on in Mordor that are not explained by a simple volcanic eruption, right?
Right.
So,
right. And maybe this will be the process, because I did a little background research on Sauron, and supposedly he likes to put his plans out in the thousands of years. So he's not like a next day type of guy. So maybe throughout this time, and of course, as they strengthen their forces with more orcs, and he imbues the land with his quote unquote evil sorcery, then maybe we'll see some of that transpire during the following seasons. But it kind of seems like that there's really no purpose of them going and trying to fight for this particular land anymore. And actually, when they were in the encampment at the end, they kind of like, there's another encampment, up the street. That's once part of Numenor. We're gonna go there. So it's just kind of like everybody else, like, man, shit on it. You know what I'm saying? so it's just like, man, I ain't going back there. Now, there was something that happened during this time. Isildur sees his friend dead. He tries to go and rescue someone else. There is a building that collapses on him. Elendil, the others, they believe he's dead. I would assume that he's not dead. They didn't show anything when Adar was walking around at the end and proclaimed this land as Mordor. But I would assume that he's not dead unless they're completely changing the lore. What do you think on that?
He can't be dead. Like, not at all. Like, that's... yeah. So he's just lost in the rubble somewhere, and he will turn up. He's Isildur. He has to turn up, or else Aragorn cannot be Isildur's Bane, right? So, right. I'm not worried about it. He'll pop up somewhere.
Right.
Definitely going to happen.
Right. So, So that's what I was thinking. Well, it kind of makes you nervous sometimes, as Galadriel gives Theo, which is Brown and Sons, the sword. It's kind of like focused on him some. He's just like, man, are y'all going to take a turn? You know what I'm saying? Because, the writers of this stuff, they're at liberty to just, do whatever. You know what I'm saying? So me and you both would agree that it would make sense for Isildur to just be knocked out in the rubble. It'd be very interesting. I would assume, if I had a prediction for the next episode, would have to be the rescue of Isildur. That's what I would assume for this next episode. Could you agree in that sense?
Well, do we know that Isildur needs rescuing?
Well, he might get, he might, when he moves that rubble off the top of him, he's going to see nothing but orcs. So at least a fight to get his way out of there. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be at least be a scuffle. Okay, the scuffle's going to have to ensue, he's going to have to endure some type of scuffle in order to get out of the situation he's currently in, surrounded by. Well,
he doesn't seem in his current state. He doesn't seem like the kind of guy who can handle much of a scuffle. He's not much of a fighter. Yeah,
exactly.
From what it seems, he's definitely a long ways away from the person who will eventually take down Sauron.
Right. So it's very interesting on how they're going to move the timetable forward. As far as the years that will elapse in between each season. I'm wondering if they're going to have a big elapsed amount of time, as far as, 10 years, 15 years, or if they're going to stay kind of true to the time periods that they're in currently. So that'll be very interesting to see going forward. What do you think about that?
Yeah, they're gonna. I get the feeling that, like, in this show, we're going to get a lot of background storyline to the original trilogy that is going to be rushed, and it's going to be smushed together when things should have taken hundreds of years, probably. So, yeah, I don't really have any hope for them to do it right. It's not as though TV series in the past haven't covered 1,000-year stretches and done it adequately, with little flash forward scenes. But that will break the continuity of the current storyline and the path the characters are on. So I don't see that happening. I just see us having to sit through their fucking shit show of an interpretation of Tolkien.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I can agree there. So we also figure out that the Queen Regent somehow, I don't know how, but she got blinded. All right. I mean, I don't.
That's what I was asking too. I'm like, what's with the fucking blindfold?
She got blinded somehow, and they realize that as she gets up to the top of the hill with Elendil, and she asked Elendil how much further. He said, "Oh yeah, right over this ridge." It's like, when we're gonna get out of the smoke. Said, "Queen, we've been out of smoke for a while." You know what I'm saying? Oh, well, shit, I can't see. I'm just like, hold on a second. Where'd that come from? I mean, she must have got some of the smog right in her eyeballs. Okay,
Right.
That's all
what
I
I'm thinking.
I mean, Galadriel was right in the front of the blast, and she's fine. Queen Regent, mid to the back of the blast, blind. Why won't nobody else blinded? Somebody help me out here, bud.
Yeah,
That's
and it's
all
funny. There's a great video. There was, I guess, some watch party in some big city for that last episode where she got hit by the lava, and everyone's quiet and they're all watching. And as soon as she gets taken out by the lava, the whole place erupted in cheer. They were all like so excited that Galadriel got smushed by the fucking volcano. It was hilarious.
Yeah, but we know she didn't. I mean, she's still there 5,000 years later, so we know that's not the case. All right, we know that without a doubt. So Galadriel ends up finding Theo in the actual rubble. They make their way back. Of course, Theo has a lot of rage in him. He's quick to temper. He's quick to draw the blade. I'm not really sure what his character is supposed to be in the long term of this particular series. Do you have any type of inclination what that might be?
I don't really see much of a need for him moving forward. I mean, he was the reason that the sword got found and all this stuff happened. And like every good hero, right? He blames himself for it, which was, the noble character's path to take. But no, I don't see much of a need for him at all moving forward.
But they seem to be making him a very key component. Galadriel leaves her sword with him. Of course, he had the key, which was the sword for Sauron, for the mountain, which I'm still not sure about that. I ain't gonna lie to you, okay? I'm still not sure about the sword being stuck in the rock and it releasing water. I'm just like, man, who made this system, okay? And when they make it? That's what I want to know. And why? All right? I mean, you made a whole damn system just so I could have a key to release it. Why didn't you release it earlier? Why really? I mean, I was just like, I don't know. It just seemed kind of just thrown in there to me. I'm not deep into the lore of it, but
yeah, it was stupid. It was just stupid. It was dumb
in there. Yeah, I mean, it's like it's just got all these dams. Oh yeah, and the dams are crumbled once this key's put in and it turns this rock. I'm just like, huh? I was like, okay. I mean, I guess I just got to accept it. I don't have any other choice. This is what y'all are giving me right there. I got to accept it.
Just accept it and move on.
Yeah. Yeah. So
don't be too critical because you'll realize the whole story doesn't make any sense. So
yeah, exactly. So you want to try to at least enjoy a few minutes of it. They have some type of inclination that Theo might be a major character or might do something spectacular in the future because they keep featuring him. So I can't help but to think that he's going to have some type of key role in the future. What that is, I don't know. Okay. As you said, Do I really feel like he needs to? No, but they always got to take the liberties. It's almost like the newest Mortal Kombat movie where they put somebody in the movie that has nothing to do with Mortal Kombat as the main character. It's just like, who's this cat? You know what I'm saying? It's just like, oh, he's a descendant of Scorpion. It's like, word, all right, whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's like, let me try to enjoy the rest of the movie.
Let me sidetrack on Mortal Kombat for a minute. They have never made a goddamn good Mortal Kombat movie because there's no story. Okay? There's no plot. I don't give a fuck what bullshit storyline they try to come up to for Mortal Kombat with the 1,000-year-old tournament. It's stupid, okay? It was a fucking video game. It wasn't meant to be translated into a fucking movie, and every Mortal Kombat movie has been complete dog shit.
Cool. Well, it's probably because it's veered away from the tournament aspect of it. You know what I'm saying? Which would be the main foundation of it. But back into the rings. So that pretty much wraps up that particular arc right there. We know King Regent is blind. Elendil, of course, he's heartbroken. He thinks Isildur is dead. He actually suggests to Queen Regent to leave this land and let him die. You know what I'm saying? So he's like fed up. He's like, Galadriel led us here for my son to die. It's like, well, if your son's in battle, it's a good possibility he's going to die. You know what I'm saying? Eventually, including you. You know what I'm saying? If you're in enough battles. So he actually is very surprised that Queen Regent says they're going to return to Numenor and then they're going to come back, 1,000-fold. We coming back with more troops. So it'll be very interesting to see how Numenor downfalls from here, because we know that they do have their downfall eventually, and how that happens now that Queen Regent is blinded. There might be somebody else coming to power, somebody betray her. So it'll be interesting to see who they're going to put in place back in Numenor to do that overturning, where they actually turn and actually start following Sauron. So yeah, that wraps up that particular thing. We had two other arcing storylines we'll talk about. We'll go ahead and talk about the Harfoots with the Stranger.
Oh my God, the Harfoots.
But it's just the Harfoots. I mean, I'm gonna be straight up. They could just delete them and the Stranger out, and I'd be okay. All right.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
every time I see that little girl's face, I just want to put a fist through it. Like, I don't know what it is. I just want to punch her in the face every time I see her goddamn face. Like, fuck her.
Man, it's every single time. So, of course, they're migrating, all right? And I don't know exactly where they're at, but somehow some of the hot ash, some of the molten rock has reached the exact place where they were migrating to, and destroyed their crops, which looks like they like apples. Okay, I didn't realize that, but guys in the audience, Harfoots like apples. Okay, it's their main harvest. That's what they eat most of the time, and so we have a cringe moment with the Stranger. And if this is supposed to be Gandalf, please to God, can we not make him retarded? Can we get that goddamn sad look off his face? I swear to God, it's one of them situations like when you're a kid and your mom says, if you keep making that face, it's going to stick that way. That's exactly what happened to fucking guy in the gray suit who is not Gandalf. Definitely not Gandalf, right? This motherfucker, he's like, oh. Like, that's the only face this fucking guy knows how to make. Seriously. It's some bad acting, man. It's
horrible.
It's bad writing and bad acting on this. I'm like, man, y'all got to do something different with this character to give it interest. Because right now, I don't want to see him on the screen fucking period. I mean, he's done nothing but make moaning noises. And then when he's in the middle of doing some magical shit, Nori's just dumb enough to be in the fucking way. I'm like,
and he creeps me out wearing that fucking ratty ass translucent bathrobe around a bunch of kids. Like, fucking weirdo.
It's a translucent bathrobe. Pretty good. But I just think I need somebody to exercise some type of common sense, okay? All right? Are you scared of the man? or do you want to help the man? One moment you're scared, next moment you help. Man, you know when he starts doing some shamalama stuff and touching shit, you just need to back up, okay? Because he don't know what he's doing right now. He ain't got a clue. He just shaking shit, shaking trees, clapping the ground, freezing water. He ain't got a clue what he's doing, all right? So just back up out the way when my man starts chanting and shit starts happening. All right, hey, back up, guys, because, I mean, my man ain't got no control right now, Bo. He is in fact a grown child currently.
Yeah.
We can agree with that,
Yeah.
right?
Oh yeah, yeah. And one thing I thought was rather funny is that he puts his hands up on the tree because everything's been smoked by this piece of volcanic rock that shot off into their fucking apple grove.
Apple tree.
And so,
apple tree. Yeah.
He puts his hands on the tree and he starts to heal the tree, and everyone's all excited for him. But as he's healing the tree, a big piece of the upper canopy breaks off and falls on some of these fucking little wannabe hobbits. And now all of a sudden they went from totally being on side with him for healing the tree to giving him the look like, fuck you. You just knocked the tree on some of our kids. What a bunch of fickle assholes. Seriously, these Harfoots, man. I hope fucking Sauron gets them and cooks them up on a skewer.
Yeah, hey, look, but there's one thing that we know about the Harfoots is that, Bo, they scared to death, okay? Scared to death, scared to look. They shook. I mean, they just need Mobb Deep out there singing the rap song for them. Shook Ones Part 2. I'm like, bud, my goodness, y'all. Everybody's seen the branches up top shaking, rumbling, and then the one dumb Harfoot. Oh, what are you doing? Well, he's doing some shit that looks dangerous. So back up and let the man work, bud. You know what I'm saying? I mean, back up and let him work. I mean, y'all ain't smart, okay? That's just all there is to it. All right, they're not smart individuals at all. So what do? They decide to exile him. Of course, after the branch falls and people think that he didn't do anything. You see a single flower pop up on the tree. A day later, they've got plenty to eat. What's the other Harfoot's name? The chunky one. That's what I want to call her. Poppy.
They're all chunky.
Her name's Poppy Proudfellow. Okay. The chunky one. She got a little chunk on her. You know what I'm saying? She got some meat on her. I mean, I ain't gonna cut around the corner. She a little chunky. Around the waist, but she jumps in there with Nori and she eating the apple. And it's like, we need to save that. I said, damn, Bo, one apple? I said, but y'all struggling. Y'all talking about having to slice up slivers. You know what I'm saying? Y'all about dead. You know what I'm saying? You talking about saving one apple. I said, shit hit the fish. She said, no, look out there. Of course, a bountiful harvest, okay? They got apples galore. They're happy. They're singing. How'd this happen? Oh, it was a stranger. Now folks are starting to feel a little bad. Well, maybe we shouldn't have shipped him off. But it's too late now, okay? Of course, he moaned as he was walking away when Nori gave him the one apple. I guess that's the one apple for your journey, all right? So, I mean, hey, I'm going to hook you up with what I've got. We've got one apple. So they're happy at that point in time. And then we move over to where Poppy is actually getting some water. She sees a footprint of a wolf. Okay, so I'm thinking, hey, another wolf battle.
Was it a wolf footprint? Because that thing looked big.
Yeah.
It looked like it was like 3 foot across.
Yeah. So it was the same footprints that they had seen earlier in previous episodes. A footprint of a wolf. She drops her pail, and then we've got the 3 strange characters that we know were some type of sorcerers, but we don't have any inclination of what the hell they want. I mean,
so I might have an inclination. So they were all wearing.
Let's know. Mm-hmm.
This is not anything that I've read, but this is my speculation. They were all wearing gray, also, and Gandalf is a wizard of the Grey Order, right? And in what is it, the Two Towers? When he comes back, he has been kind of promoted to the White Order. So my suspicion is that these wizard chicks with the funky eyes, they are probably members of the Wizards of the Grey Order come to fetch him. But that's just pure speculation on my part. But that would make sense with the lore.
Right, but then it just throws you into more questions. You're like, okay, who the hell shot him like a cannonball halfway across the world? You know what I'm saying? It's just like, and why? And now why are you coming to find him? I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's just like,
well, maybe that's how
just,
wizards are born.
Oh, that might be the case. You just, you know, you show up in a meteorite, you land, and then you act childlike, you destroy shit for a while, and you figure out how to talk and how to use your magic. I mean, but I need something else, man. I don't know, man. I just need something else. It's just like, man, this just ain't cutting the cheese for me. All right, somebody else might be very interested in it. Okay, might be very interested, but the Harfoots and the Stranger, man, it just ain't cutting the cheese, man. They just need to. They could have spent more time, maybe getting the Stranger up to speed with how to talk and how to, you know, actually use his magic, as opposed to me walking around with the Harfoots talking about they leaving folks and they migrate. I mean, I'm just like, whatever, man. I mean,
did they ever say where they were migrating to? Yeah, definitely. Did they ever say where they were migrating to?
God, they said the lands. I can't remember it, but they if I'm correct from the way it seems like they migrate to the same areas in different times of the year. Mm-hmm. That's what it seems like to me. So almost like, you know, birds. It gets cold up north. I go down south. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like,
yeah.
So I would kind of see the same almost migration patterns. You know, migrate to where the food's at. This land's about to become barren. Move to the next land, we let this land replenish, then we come back at the next season. So that's what I'm assuming that their pattern is, per se. And the Negro Harfoot with the stick, he uses his great text and star alignments to navigate them to the proper areas. That's what I'm assuming from what I've seen. Could you assume something similar?
Yeah, totally. That's exactly what I got from it. But basically what it seems like is a bunch of clueless little kids running around the forest. Really is how these Harfoots are coming off.
Yes.
I'm not appreciating them at all. Like, they're no fucking hobbits, let me tell you.
It's not in the least. It's in the hobbits.
No, at least the hobbits, we'd be getting jokes about, you know, second breakfast and shit. Like, right. I'm not even getting that.
Yeah, we really hadn't got much from the Harfoots. I'm going to be honest with you. They almost feel like, well, we don't want to, you know, stick with the elves and the dwarves too much and the humans. So, well, there's been hobbits and everything else. So let's throw Harfoots in this. That's what it almost kind of feels like.
Yeah.
I mean,
is there a well? I guess you could say the reason there's no hobbits in it is because Bilbo, I guess technically, would be one of the first hobbits to interact with the outside world. So I can understand why there's no hobbits in the film or in the series. But I don't know if they just made Harfoots up out of thin air, or if there were Harfoots in the original lore, or if the Harfoots are the river people that Smeagol came from, right? So there's a lot of questions that we just don't know. And I shouldn't have to go fucking read a book to know what's going on in a series, right? If you're going to present a series to me, you should give me some answers. I shouldn't have to be going Google and shit after every episode.
Well, here's what we do know, is that Harfoots got to be related to hobbits, which they said cousins of, because they got the big nasty feet, okay? This is all there is to it. They got those old big nasty feet.
That's another thing that struck me. Like, they're called the Harfoots. They never put any emphasis on their feet for the first 6 episodes. And then you got the father, Harfoot, says, if you harm to the wizard chicks, he goes, if you harm one hair on her foot. And then I realized, oh, so they're a foot-centric kind of people. And then the following scene, they're all walking and they show for the first time that they have big feet. So they could have given us that in the first episode so we understood the characters a little better, but no.
Yeah. And going to that scene where where the mysterious, we're assuming sorcerers of the Grey Order, that's what our assumption is right now. Maybe incorrect. We may find out something different. But sorcerers of the Grey Order are seeking the stranger. They feel his magic within the lands. That's obvious from when they go up and touch the tree. So they feel, okay, yeah, he's definitely been here. This is type of magic that we would see from a particular gentleman such as him. And, you know, Nori confronts him. she sees him in the distance, and she tells him, "Oh, he went over there." You know what I'm saying? And all of a sudden, they're right behind him. So they've got teleportation capabilities. We do know that. Instant transmission, Goku style. So we did see that. But then when her dad came and put the flame in front of him, like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna burn you to the ground." I was like, "Bud, I don't know if you want to be antagonizing them." And in an instance, the lady takes the flame and burns up all their shit. I was like, "Bo, y'all having it rough, okay? Y'all having it real rough." That's all I know. And every time they have it rough, they can just go back to that particular family, the Brandyfoots. The Brandyfoots, y'all are causing us a whole lot of strife, okay?
Yeah.
Every time we see y'all, every time y'all say something, do something, but shit goes awry. And so it shows that these particular sorcerers or wizards or whatever they are, that they do, in fact, have magical powers. So it does give you that they are a threat. But I wonder if they're going to give us any more of them in the final episode next week. I would like to know just a touch more about them before this first season ends. What do you think about
that? I'm sorry. Who were you talking about?
I was talking about the sorcerers, the wizards, or whatever
I have
they are.
a feeling
trying to find
they're going to be left mysterious. I have a feeling.
Okay.
I don't think we're going to get much out of them. We'll see. Hard to say, though. I mean, if they're part of the Grey Order, then they should tell us that for sure. But we're not going to see any of them speak. At some point, we have to have an interaction between them and Gandalf. And so, who knows? We'll see. It's hard to predict.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I just want to see, because so far, I mean, I'm fine with stuff being what do you call it? Ominous, secretive. But eventually, you're just like, okay, I've done seen these characters 3 times, 4 times. I kind of just want to know something, just a touch. You know what I'm saying? They
right,
haven't
but they're definitely not elves
yet. Yeah, they're not elves, but they haven't spoken a word yet. We understand they have powers. They're searching for the stranger. Can I just get like some inclination, just a little bit? It ain't got to be full explanation. We can do that in the next season after, however you want to work it. But just some inclination on what they might be and what their plans for the current name stranger might be in the future. So, I mean, that's how I feel about it. But we only got 1 episode left. I don't know if it's going to be a 2-hour especial. It's going to be the same hour and 10 minutes or not. Haven't came out and said anything about that. So after that particular instance, they didn't harm any of the Harfoots. So I'm not sure why they burnt this shit to the ground. I mean, I'm just like...
I think it was more of a pissing contest, more of a, you want to hit us with a torch? Well, this is what we can do. It was more of a demonstration of power than anything else is what I got from it.
Right. Okay. So, yeah, I guess I can agree with that. I can agree with that. In the process, you destroyed all our houses, okay? Because, I mean, we towed our houses around with them. I mean, that brings a whole new meaning back to sleeping in your car. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's what I think when I see them dragging that shit around. It's like, yeah, boy, I sleep in my car. That's what I do. It's like, wow. That's like, okay. So y'all are the poor folks. So Nori, Poppy Proudfellow, their mom. What's the mom's name? Not the mom of Poppy, but Marigold Brandyfoot.
If you haven't noticed, like, I suck with names.
Yeah. I know. That's why I'm trying to hook us up on that. So yeah, Marigold Brandyfoot, which is the mom, and then the leader. I don't even know what his name is. I can't even remember his name right off the gate because he hadn't really done anything very interesting yet. But they said that they're going on their adventure. So this almost gives you, as we have in previous series, Lord of the Rings, even the Hobbit, the Hobbit's adventure, because most of the time they're not adventurous. They stay, in close-knit communities, and they don't really venture out. So I think this is the beginning of the adventure of the Harfoots. This is kind of the kickoff. So I just thought it was funny. The man said, "Yeah, I'm gonna go grab my stick." Do we believe that he has anything up his sleeve? The Black Harfoot.
No,
His name is?
no, has nothing up his sleeve. He's not a witty character. He's not an overly intellectual character. I don't attribute them as having any kind of witty thought about them whatsoever.
Okay, yeah, and the his name is actually Sadak Burrows. All right, so that's the Black Harfoot's name, and so yeah, that wraps up the Harfoots. I guess we're gonna see maybe a little bit of them in the last episode. I guess you'll have to.
Yeah.
Arc. I think they're not going to leave anybody out in this last episode. The last thing we're going to talk about is the interaction between Elrond, Durin, and of course Durin's father. They proceed to go to the king, and Elrond. I think he has a good offer. You know what I'm saying? Grain. Some other type of foreign object that they have out there. Yeah,
some wood.
For 500 years. I said, man, that sounds like a good deal. And like the other dwarves in there was like, damn, 500 years. Well, this is like a good deal for us. And the king's like, hell no. So it makes you think that the king has been double crossed by elves in the past. What do you think about that?
Oh, for sure. For sure. So one thing that we know for sure is that the Mithril does get mined out of that mountain. That mountain that they're living in, oh my God, how do I not remember this name? Is the same Dwarven Hall that was in the original trilogy, where they go and they end up meeting a character that we see at the very end of this show, which is the Balrog. So,
you're right.
So we know that the Mithril gets mined, and at some time between now and the original trilogy, 3,000 years later, that the dwarves get wiped out from that mountain. So there's a lot that has to happen here, but I don't think we'll see any of that in this series. So who knows? We'll see. There's some gray areas in the lore on the timing on when the Balrog originally woke up and wiped them from the mountain. Then you have the orcs move in. So yeah, there's a lot of development has to happen before we get to that part. So I don't think we're going to end up seeing any of that.
Right. But it looks like we do see the Balrog form at the end.
Right.
Is that right?
That is correct.
Or is that just a vision of the Balrog? But it looked like the Balrog.
That was the Balrog. So let's continue along what happens with the king. The king ends up shutting them down, and he just doesn't want to risk bringing the mines in, doesn't want to risk any dwarven lives for elves. And he basically tells Durin, is that his name?
Yeah, Durin. Yep.
Okay, he tells Durin, sorry, but you got to tell your friend to piss off. So.
yeah. In very nice terms. You know what I'm saying? It says leave the room, and me and my son will have counsel. All right.
Right.
And pretty much it's just like, yeah, we ain't doing this shit now.
And so then Durin and his dwarven wife, they have the leaf that. Oh, okay.
The Elrond left, yeah.
Elrond. Okay, the Elrond left, showing the blight on the leaves. And so, by chance, Durin takes a piece of the mithril out of his pocket and throws it up on the table, and it lands next to the leaf, and then the leaf gets healed. And so then he realizes that Elrond is telling the truth, and that the mithril is the only thing that will save the dwarven people. And so, take it from there, X-Cube.
Yeah. So pretty much, they had the council with Durin and his wife, and of course the woman convinces Durin to go against his father's will, and during the whole time he has an internal conflict with his duty to his kingdom and him trying to help a friend. So
the Mines of Moria. There are the Mines of Moria.
Mines of Moria. Okay, yeah. So he has that internal conflict that we've seen throughout this, especially since they went through their initial hiccup when Elrond first comes back. But he's grown fond of Elrond again. Their bond is still there. So he has this. He's battling with demons per se, with helping his friend Elrond or staying true to his duty to his people as a future king of the dwarves. So
one thing I thought was kind of funny.
That aspect.
We come to realize that Elrond actually, when they had that original rock smashing contest, that Elrond may have let Durin win that competition. And this is my favorite part of the whole show. Durin looks at him and he goes, "Elven lies," and that was great. I was like, "Yeah, I think that Durin is the best character in this entire show so far. He's true to the dwarven spirit, and he's a good actor. And yeah, I appreciate him more than any other character we've seen so far."
Yeah. I thought he's done very well as well. And yeah, I had that prediction back when we actually did a recap of the 2 through 4. I was like, man, I think Elrond just let him win. I was like, but I mean, we talking about these elves, but live thousand. I mean, beating rots. I mean, so I think Elrond could beat rots for a while. You know what I'm saying? I mean, so I had this because that's Elrond's style. His style is not brute force, and that's what I've been saying the whole time. His style is cunning. His style is to befriend you. His style is not brute force. His style is not Galadriel's, okay? Which is, I got my sword. Let me put it in your heart. You know what I'm saying? Cut your head off. So Elrond's a little bit different. He's not as brash. So
well, that's one of the criticisms of her character is that in Tolkien's universe, she was like elegant and she wasn't like battle hardened. And so they've completely hijacked that character and turned it into a battle elf when that's not what the original character ever was. So,
strong female character. Character.
Correct.
Yeah, maybe.
But all the elves were like that. None of the elves were like, except for the arrow guy. Who was the arrow? The arrow guy in the original Legolas in the original trilogy. Yes.
Yeah.
But for the most part, most elves are like this, holier than thou, hoity-toity kind of, non-aggressive kind of people. Like, they must have a different cast for the warriors.
Yeah. That may be the case. So after Durin speaks with his wife gives him, great speech, heartfelt speech.
She's like, "Look, bitch, I want to be queen. I ain't hanging with this shit. I want to be the queen."
Exactly. And this is right before he actually goes and actually proceeds to help Elrond. Now, I'm not sure. It didn't show you where they were at in the shaft. I'm assuming that when they were digging before and they had a collapse, they were pretty close to the mithril anyway. That's what I'm assuming. Could you assume the same thing?
Because they had he had a couple nuggets, so he had definitely found some of it. But so he's banging, and it looks like the mountain is really fragile, right? Every time he hits the hammer against the wall, the whole thing quakes like it's going to come down. Eventually, he pops a hole in the wall, looks in, and as far as the eye can see, he just sees these streaks of mithril all throughout the mountain inside the mine to a part that they had not accessed before. So at this point in time, he's all excited, and they go to tell the king. And what happens next?
Oh, well, the king is there waiting on him. It's almost like he knew. He's like, I know my son. And so they have they actually exile Elrond. They immediately take him and throw him out of the kingdom. And the Durins have it out as far as a hashing around the flame, speaking to each other about ambitions, what should and what needs to be done. He said, "Father, how can you just sit back and just allow them to die?" And pretty much for the father, it says, it's almost like he's saying that this is prophesized, like this is what's supposed to happen. Their time has come and passed, so they need to pass. You know what I'm saying? Their immortal lives. Why should I try to prolong their lives when they're already have been shown to be almost immortal? You know what I'm saying? Living for thousands of years. So, as we said before, the king. I'd really like to know what type of interaction he had with the elves back during the Morgoth battle, and what was promised, and what some of the things that the elves went back on as far as their promises, because he almost has like a hatred towards the elves almost. Can you pick up on that?
Yeah, I definitely picked up on that. There's some more going on that we'll probably never get the backstory to. It's probably going to end right there. So, but yeah, he's not too happy with helping the elves, and I think it's more that he's interested in protecting his kingdom than helping somebody else. And he seems to think that he has the notion that this was in the fate of the elves for thousands of years already, and that who is he to stop it?
Yep, exactly. And I think he also understands the value of that mithril as well. Maybe even more than Durin does. So because I mean, when somebody offers you 500 years worth of something, it's like, but that's a lot. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I mean, 500 years worth. You know, like I said, there were rumblings like, man, did he just say 5 centuries? Dang, but the king's like, man, that's not enough. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, it's like he has some inside knowledge that maybe even his son doesn't on this particular on mithril. So they have it out, and as we see in that moment, it almost looks like Durin strips his son, or King Durin strips Durin. I think he's Durin the Fourth, if I'm correct, of his title as heir, as he rips the chain off from around his neck, and he tells him not to pick it back up. Is that what you call on there? That's what I believe.
Yeah, that must be some sort of symbol of nobility, something indicating he's the prince or whatever. But obviously, this is going to get resolved. I mean, he's not going to get kicked out of the mountain. None of that's going to happen. At some point, the Balrog is going to wake up. Or the Balrog. Okay, so let's get to the Balrog, because the Balrog was a pretty important creature in the original trilogy. And so the king takes the leaf that is no longer stricken with the blight, and he just kind of throws it into the hole in the mountain. And we see it kind of fall, and it falls past all the mithril, and then it lands at the bottom where it singes up and it burns. And as it burns, we see the Balrog rise from the depths. So that is how the show came to an end, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and I don't know, because I don't know a ton about that. Once again, I'm not deep into the lore. I've been trying to check some things out, some small clips that people had up about the lore, but I'm just like, I don't know. It just kind of seemed random. A leaf hitting the ground and then the Balrog pops up. I mean,
I understand it.
If I was in the Tolkien universe where I was knee deep in it, I might understand it better. But once again, I try to tell people, and I try to tell, like, the writers need to understand that a lot of people who watch this are not going to be deep into the lore. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So if you're trying to,
I think they assume that everyone's. I think that they're assuming everybody saw the 6 movies, right? The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings. I'm assuming that they're assuming that, because otherwise you wouldn't have any idea what that was except for some fiery creature. But in the original trilogy, it is said that while they were mining, the dwarves awakened something in the mountain. That was from the trilogy. So they weren't exactly mining yet. So there's a little alteration of the storyline there. But I know the Balrog does rise up and plays a part in their destruction. However, I don't know the time frame on that, and I feel like they're squishing things from multiple time frames into a single time frame, and that's kind of irritating. But then again, the lore is vague at this point, and so this is where they're taking their liberties.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So within vague points of it, you can take your liberties. So that pretty much wraps up episode 7. We covered everything across the board. We've got one more episode left in this season. Season finale is next week. I haven't seen anything about runtime being longer. I don't know if it will be or not. Let's see if I see.
Well, all of these kind of run like they run like an hour and a couple minutes. It's weird
12.
how the timing is. They're not really sticking
like
to the hour-long time frame thing. So who knows?
Yeah,
maybe we'll get 90 minutes out of it.
Yeah. I feel like to wrap up this particular season, you probably need a little bit more time potentially to wrap this up and get us a nice bow on top. This episode, 5 out of 10. 5 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10. It's funny because I try to give it some benefit of the doubt, despite all the past criticism, and then I'll go and watch like Nerd Erotic or like The Critical Drinker, and they'll just shred every single aspect of the show. Like those guys are nerds supreme. And
yeah. They know all the backstory. Yeah.
Yeah. So after I watch the show, give it a rating of like a 5. Then I'll watch their show and I'll be like, man, that thing's like a -3. But really, I'm going to give it a 5. 5 out of 10 cubes.
Yeah, and I will say that we are speaking for more of the casual audience. Okay.
Right.
We're not for like the people who's deep into the lore, deep into the nerd side of things. I think that's the way we're going to be approaching most of the things that we talk about, because most of the viewers will be casual audience. It won't be somebody who will be able to remember every sentence from, the Fellowship of the Ring and all this stuff. You know what I'm saying? They won't have read all the books. So from a casual audience perspective, that's the way you kind of have to make movies. And so things have to be explained. Things have to be interesting, and you got to captivate people right out the gate. This particular episode actually was the worst rated one on IMDb out of all the ones so far. This was the worst rated one, and I'm not sure how, because I don't know, the first few episodes were pretty bad, but this at least gives me a little bit of background story. But yeah, that wraps this up. Corey, what is our predictions for the final episode?
I don't know, because I'm thinking about it now, they probably should have ended the season with the Mount Doom being created. Like, what's her face getting hit by that episode could have been the last, and that would have been fine.
Yeah, actually, you're right. You could. Yeah, they probably should have did the creation of Mordor as the last one, and then that picks up into season 2. Now that I
have no idea what happens. I think we're going to get some kind of betrayal. I don't know what kind, but I have no idea what to expect, because it should have ended at the end of Mordor with Mordor's creation.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what else, because you got one episode. How much more can you really fit in it to wrap up a particular arc for this season? I guess the only thing I can think, Isildur being found. And brought back to safety, or him making his way back to safety. The Harfoots, maybe we'll see an interaction with the Stranger and the other sorcerers or wizards of the Order. Durin, I don't know if they can dive too far in there. I know you probably will see something with Elrond actually speaking to the king of the elves about not being able to procure the help of the dwarves and what they're going to do to procure said help. We also got to remember that at some point in time in these episodes, Sauron is actually going to infiltrate, we perceive, unless they do something completely different, but he will infiltrate the Elvish Order and actually start the creation of the rings. I don't know what season that'll be in, but I guess we got to have some rumblings of that in the near future. What do you think about that, Corey?
Yeah, and so when it comes to the rings, there were like, what was it, 9 rings for the kings of men. So they got to come up with 9 kings. We've only been introduced to 2 different groups of mortals so far, of humans. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of explaining to do if we're even going to see that stuff in this series at all.
Yeah. This is the Rings of Power, and we haven't seen one ring yet.
Right. Correct.
I mean, I ain't seen not even like on anybody's finger, like a wedding ring. I mean, we ain't seen a ring yet. So it's just like, somebody watching this, they'd be like, Rings of Power, okay. And they watch a whole season and they'd be like, why the hell did they name it the Rings of Power? Ain't no rings. But this is stuff that you got to think about. You know what I'm saying? These are all things you got to think about when you're creating a show, especially based off of somebody's writings from, the 30s. You got to think about how to get this out to the mainstream audience, get a good title, and then how to build up towards that and give them like a sense of like, okay, so you telling me this is the Rings of Power, but I've watched the whole 8 episodes. I've watched, almost 9 hours worth of footage, and I hadn't seen a ring yet.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's just like, what are we talking
They're assuming
about?
the audience knows more than they know. I mean, that's another problem with the show, right? They're assuming they saw all the movies. They're assuming they know some of this lore. They're making a lot of assumptions about the audience that I think are just wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's sometimes, and a lot of times, that's where these particular features and seasons and films fall flat. Is when they assume that you know the lore, assume that you've read the books, and assume that you've watched the previous movies. So a lot of times it falls flat on that. They got to give me some semblance. Somebody's got to be stamping a ring out sometime soon. Okay, I mean that's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Just at the end, just have somebody talk. Just say something about a ring. Just be like,
but it feels like
maybe we should make some rings.
Light years from that.
Yeah,
it feels like we're years away from that.
Yeah, it's just like somebody needs to say something about a ring. So yeah, that wraps up this week's episode of Showtime with the Cube on the Rings of Power, episode 7. Let us know your thoughts on this particular episode if you checked it out. What were your pet peeves? What you liked? What you didn't like? There were some things that we did like. Everything we watch isn't bad. Okay, isn't just like distasteful, just can't watch it type stuff. All right. So the series can have issues within it and still be worth a watch. Mm-hmm. We can agree with that, right?
Right, but that does not apply to the Rings of Power.
Yeah. All right, guys. So that wraps this up. We appreciate everybody for checking us out. From your boy SQ420, my co-host Corey Hughes. We will catch y'all on the next Showtime with the Cube. Y'all have a good day. Peace out.